So as part of the Kingfisher, we're going to be asking you to try and ID as many plants in a hedgerow near you as possible. This is a fairly young hedgerow which was planted fairly recently, so this has been planted with a large diversity of species, and we've got a couple kind of shown here. When you come to ID your own hedgerow, we'll be giving you these ID sheets so you can match the leaves to the different plants so you can see what's growing in the hedgerows around you. But around here we've got quite a lot of hawthorn, which is this guy here, and you can tell him because he's got small leaves with kind of 5 lobes, so 5 fingers, and although it's quite early at the moment, you can already see loads of white flowers starting to develop on the hawthorn, and these will come out in around May time, and then when you're IDing the hedgerows they may well have gone over and will start to develop as berries, and then in the autumn berries will turn a bright red and they'll be really obvious through the countryside. We've also got some hazel here which is just coming out in leaf, so you can see the leaves are really small at the moment, but in a month or so they'll be really quite large, about the size of my hand, and very papery, and the hazel is the bush that then goes on to create the hazelnuts in the autumn. Okay, so you can see along this hedgerow we've also got quite a few hedgerow trees, which you can just about pick out an oak in here that's just waiting to burst its buds and come out for the summer. These are really important features of hedgerow. They provide a nice diversity. You tend to get a lot of insects swarming around them, and they also provide a really important song post for songbirds, and you'll very often see small finches such as chaffinches and other species going right to the top of these trees and using them to declare their territory when they're nesting. So looking at how wildlife uses hedgerows, we can start at the bottom, and you can see we've got lots of really tussocky grass around here, and this is going to be perfect for hibernating bumblebees and insects throughout the winter, and then in the summer it will provide lots of cover for small mammals such as voles and wood mice and hedgehogs, which will use the hedgerow to access other bits of the countryside as well as a habitat in its own right. As we then move up, you've got all this lovely blossom from the blackthorn, which will be a really important resource for pollinators during the early spring. And then as we go on through the year, we'll see the hawthorn will start to blossom in May as another important nectar source. And then later on in the year we'll start to develop berries such as the sloes on the blackthorn, the haws on the hawthorn, and hazelnuts on the hazel. And these are going to be really important in the autumn for a lot of different species, including things like birds and dormice and any other small mammals that can actually climb up the trees and access them. To ID a hedge, one of the easiest ways to do it is to go along a section of hedgerow and just pick a few of the different leaves, as many different types as you can find. Just go up to the tree. These ones are obviously very small at the moment, but when they get bigger, and just collect them in a pot. And then when you get back to the classroom, you'll be able to use your ID sheets to then figure out how many different species of hedge plant you've actually collected along the way.